guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which I was going to film like maybe a bit later this year, but I mentioned it in the last vlog on my channel, so my latest to-do list week in my life. And the other day I was like, you know what, I may as well film it now because, you know, I've been thinking about all of these things recently. It's all on my mind, so why not film it now? I mean, from the title it is really quite pessimistic, I know, but it's just an appreciation of the fact that, you know, life has ups and downs, and for me this year has definitely been the first year in my like adult life where I've experienced, you know, like the stresses of being an adult, which is really scary because, you know, I'm 25, I'm 26 at the end of this year, which is crazy, and I still feel so young, like I am still young, but you know, adulthood does come with like these things that you can never be prepared for. Like you have to take each thing one at a time and work through it, which is what I have been doing obviously. But yeah, this year has just been honestly a roller coaster, the craziest year of my life. So this is just like a little chat with you guys, a deep heart to heart. Feel free to comment down below, like this video if you do enjoy these chatty style videos. I could go off on a few tangents in this video, who knows. I do however want to start this video like with the good things that have happened this year, because I need to say that even though this year has probably been one of the worst years of my life, especially in my adulthood, it's at the same time been one of the best years in my life. I don't want to sit here and be cheesy and I could talk about it in the whole video, but like I'm in my first ever relationship, the relationship that I will only be in for the rest of my life. Like I feel so strongly about that, and I just feel so, I don't know, I can't even explain it and put it into words. And as I said, I don't want to be too cheesy in this video, but I genuinely am in such an amazing place. I never in a million years thought I would find someone like Angelo. That's been literally the best thing to happen this year and one of the best things in my life. But other than that, like obviously this year has been like really good for me in terms of travel. I've seen so many different places, and in the second half of this year I've really felt like I've started to work on things that I've been putting off for a while, and it's to do with like my family and family relationships. Like I've really grown this deep appreciation for my family, and a lot of that came from being away in Southeast Asia. Like I was just thinking about how grateful I am to have a family at home who cares about me and loves me and I love them. And yeah, I've just really been putting work into my relationships at home and my family, which I feel like I'd been not disregarding, but I knew I needed to work on some of them, and part of that has been me stepping away from the camera sometimes and not vlogging everything. You know, I sometimes feel like I never stop working, and so I put off doing these things that I need to do in my personal life because often my channel is so personal. So those are the kind of first few things. Obviously there are so many other smaller things that have been really positive this year, like countless examples, but obviously as I said, this video is to just kind of talk to you guys about some of the things that I mentioned earlier this year and then didn't say anything else about, because yeah, it's been like really tumultuous, I think that's the word I'm trying to look for right now, but I don't know how you say it. Tumultuous, like up and down a roller coaster, okay? But yeah, the bad things, the things that haven't gone so well for me this year, the first thing I thought I'd talk about, because I started my year off injured, is to say that I spent more of this year injured than being not injured, sort of thing. Does that make sense? Like I was off for 4 months after I had my injury in December. Well, that was one injury which then manifested into a knee injury, and then I was back running for Milton Keynes half marathon and in Asia, so I was just so happy, running for like 3 months consistently, and you know, now I am back with another injury, and I've had that for like 2 months now. I was running through the injury in Southeast Asia for like the second half, or like the last month I was running through it, which was probably the worst thing I could do. I mean, it was a niggle and I think I made it slightly worse, so I'm now like not running obviously. Yeah, so this year I've just been, I don't know, unlucky. Ew, I feel like there's a hair that's like trying to come out of my head. I cannot tell you how much I love running. Like if you don't run and if you maybe don't love running, then you probably can't relate to this, but I genuinely love running. It's just such a bummer when I can't do it, and then when you do try and come back from an injury, you kind of have to start not from scratch, but like it always feels harder. Your heart rate sits higher, and yeah, it will just be harder than if I was consistently running. I've been cycling, cross training, ellipticaling, strength training. I mean, I will say that this block of cross training and being injured, like since coming home from Asia, has been the best because I've really grown to enjoy cycling. You know, every injury teaches me to be very stoic and patient with it. And yeah, I still went to Berlin, didn't run the marathon, but you know, got to spectate anyway. So, you know, it's not ideal, let's say. Like, I want to run races and do these ultra marathons and, I don't know, triathlons and really challenge my body physically, because that is something I thrive off and have always done, like growing up dancing. But yeah, that's the injury chat for you guys. The next thing we're gonna move on to is kind of like along similar lines, like health related, I would say. I also spoke about some of this stuff on my channel, but let's just say my 2023 started off with me having so many hospital and doctor's appointments for 3 things really, which I'll talk about. I kind of want to, I don't know, maybe start a little mini series in my vlogs, you know, getting out of this adulting crisis in the last few months of this year. You guys will have to let me know if that sounds like quite a good idea to you, and if you know, be interested in watching those videos. So yeah, let's talk about the start of this year. So I, you know, found the breast in my lump. I made a whole video about this. It was nothing serious. It was just like basically a fibroadenoma, which is very common in females in their 20s. It has now gone completely, but you know, I was worried about that and I had appointments to do with that. So that was the first thing. Secondly, I was having scans because I'd mentioned to like a few gynecologists that I did have irregular periods and I had amenorrhea for like 7 to 8 years, and they wanted to check and confirm whether or not I had PCOS. I don't have PCOS, but they wanted to check if that was like the cause of my irregular periods. Deep down, I knew that it wouldn't be the case. I mean, you can never be certain, but I was pretty sure it was because for most of my life, when I should have been, you know, having periods every month, I didn't have circulating female sex hormones. Alongside, they were doing like blood work and blood tests. I mean, I had them done at my local GP, and that was really kind of frustrating because I wanted them to check like my estrogen levels, FSH, LH, stuff like that, but they came back and literally just tested my testosterone. So they were trying to do these investigations. It was just taking so long. They weren't doing the right investigations, and it was just a bit of a nuisance. But I can say now that I have such regular periods, it's honestly like a blessing. I never thought I'd get to this point, but you know, my periods and my hormones have really balanced out. Those were the 2 kind of investigations I had alongside of each other. Thirdly, I was diagnosed with something that, yeah, I don't even know where to start this third one. This is the one I haven't mentioned at all. Yeah, I don't know how, as I said, to kind of introduce this. I feel like I'm just going to dive into the deep end and then add a bit more detail, and as I said, I will make a whole video about this because I feel like it's definitely a topic I want to share more thoughts on. At the start of this year, I was diagnosed with an STI, a sexually transmitted infection, or STD, whichever one you prefer. But yeah, that was the diagnosis I had at the start of this year. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna say an STI for now, and then, as I said, like talk about it in a lot more detail and say exactly what it is, you know, in my next video where I talk about this and address the topic. But yeah, an STI. Now obviously I know you guys won't cast judgment and stuff. I know I am very open about a lot, but yeah, please don't speculate too much, you know, in the comments. Just be nice, is all I'm asking. I know STIs, they have a huge stigma associated with them. A huge stigma, and you know, I had this diagnosis and yeah, I was in tears. I was very upset, very shocked, frustrated. They are very common. Some people will get away with, you know, having loads of one-night stands, and I'm, you know, not saying that's a bad thing. You know, you do you, please just live your own life. But some people will go about their life doing this and never catch something, but others will. And for that reason, you know, I was just really frustrated and like just kind of like, how did this happen to me? Like, why me? Quite a few STIs, they're not curable, especially in females. You can live with some STIs for life. You can't treat this one. I couldn't have been given any medication to get rid of it. It's a case of just waiting for my body to naturally clear it. So that's why, you know, I'm hoping to go back at the end of this year and be told that I am clear. But yeah, I just never in a million years thought that would happen to me. Maybe that's really naive to think that way, but I just hope that the message I'm sharing in this video is that, you know, you need to be very vigilant. But yeah, I was partly judging myself, and yeah, it just wasn't nice news. It was not good. If you guys have been diagnosed with an STI or something similar, know that you are not alone. They are incredibly common. There's a lot of them. A lot of them are asymptomatic, like the one I had, so I wouldn't have known had I not had this test done. So yeah, that is just a little word of warning. Please be safe if you are sexually active. The other thing I should say, obviously it's my personal life, but I have taken all of the necessary precautions and I've done what I can ethically to try and, you know, remedy the situation as best as possible, but it was very frustrating for a lot of different reasons. You know, like 2023, I was literally like, can my year get any worse? At the start of this year, I was like, one thing leading to another and then something else going wrong. And this and that, you know? I feel kind of mentally exhausted at this point because so much has gone on, but I feel like I've reached kind of the lowest low this year and I feel like I'm bouncing back, which is a good thing. The next thing then to talk about is traveling in Southeast Asia, my kind of leap to being this digital nomad. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while and watching my vlogs and videos, you'll know that I've been waiting for quite a long time to like start traveling and living my life abroad and being what's called a digital nomad. So my work is entirely remote and it meant that I could work and travel, and I was just so excited. I have been very excited to do this for a very long time. The reason why I didn't do it sooner was because I was having laser hair removal done every 6 to 8 weeks. I had like 8 sessions. It took about a year and a half. So this year was going to be the year when, you know, I first started to embrace this lifestyle. Now I was going to go away in February, but then I met Angelo and everything changed and we decided that we'd go together. Angelo shifted his work so he could also work remotely. We were super excited. And don't get me wrong, I never want to take anything away from how amazing and special this trip was. You know, like I had some of the best times of my life. But ultimately what happened is we both realized that digital nomadism, especially in Southeast Asia, which is a place so different to the UK, it just wasn't for us. When the realization hits you that something you've wanted for so long just isn't what you've actually wanted, that was another big like blow, I guess. I was just a bit like, wow, you know, I've been building up this hype for so long and then for everything to kind of fall flat, I was like a little bit disappointed, I guess you could say. But again, it just goes to show that, you know, not everything you want in life will turn out the way you hope it does. But yeah, it was an incredible experience, don't get me wrong. And the best thing about it was just being able to live with Angelo. That was the first time we lived together, and you know, for me this year and Angela as well, like it's the first time we've ever lived with someone else. We've learned so much from this trip. You know, we've learned about like not booking in advance if we are trying to slow travel. And I think we just ultimately realized that if we want to travel somewhere that's really quite different and backpack, we'd prefer to go for a shorter period and like be really busy over those 2 weeks or something, you know, instead of having these prolonged periods where we felt a little bit lost in that culture. The heat was so intense. Obviously we went at the very wrong time of year. We were training for Berlin Marathon and Phuket Marathon, which we did out there. And so going forwards, we were like, you know, we need to work out what our priorities are when we are traveling to these different places. Is it to explore and backpack? If so, running isn't going to be a priority for us. You know, is it the fact that we want to work and live somewhere, which we might still do in the future? We just need to work on our priorities, what we actually want. And a lot of you guys have asked me like, will I still do traveling and will I still consider working somewhere else? The answer is yes, I will still travel, and yes, I would also still consider like living and working remotely in somewhere for a temporary period again. The next thing I will say that leads me on to my final point in this video, the final mini story time, is to say that Angelo and I did pre-book a lot of stuff, and so we had a pre-booked flight to come home. We had like pre-booked accommodation for Vietnam, like the whole of Vietnam, domestic transport within the country, and all of that money wasn't used. So you could say it went to waste, which at the time when we were deciding to come home early was like the main consideration. We were like, you know, we've booked all this stuff, we're not going to get our money back. In the last week in Vietnam, we had our eyes so set on being back in the UK, and we just accepted the fact that, you know, in a couple of weeks time, that money that we spent will have been forgotten about. I don't want this to come across in the wrong way at all, but like I am in a situation where, you know, I could accept to lose that money. You know, money comes and goes. I am in such a good position right now where I earn money and I spend my money in a very healthy way. Like money is not there to just be like earned and then sat on, which, you know, I was in the past. I was very, very frugal. Being able to like have control over your finances is so important, and being able to budget and save and invest and spend wisely, like I do that. But yeah, as I said, ultimately I'm in a healthy position where I could accept those losses and be like, you know, money will come back to me. The final topic is actually money and finance and kind of businessy stuff, which I think will be something else I talk about in vlogs and videos if you guys are interested in. But yeah, I obviously went traveling for 3 months. I'm a YouTuber or like content creator for a living. I post YouTube videos, I work with brands, I do have Holy, which is my tutoring business, and I have some other streams of income. I'm self-employed and things do go up and down. I appreciate that. I have multiple streams of income to kind of balance out those fluctuations. But in me going traveling, I don't know what really happened, and sometimes a lot of this stuff is out of your control. I had some changes within my management, and you know, it's meant that my business, which is myself as a brand, like hasn't been performing, we could say, as well, which kind of sucks to say sometimes, because when you are your own brand and you work for yourself, like you cannot blame anyone else but yourself. I just felt like a complete and utter failure. That's kind of another reason why I wanted to come home, because I just felt like everything was failing for me. I was like surrendering to like algorithms and almost accepting failure and defeat, but I just felt helpless, because sometimes these things like YouTube and performance and views and metrics, like it's out of your control. I love what I do and I'm so incredibly grateful that I can do this, but you know, I had to accept this year that there will be ups and downs, and you know, I'm working through that currently. As I said, I think I've reached the low point and I'm learning a lot and I'm coming out the other side. I'm the most financially free I ever have been in my life, which is kind of crazy. But as I said, yeah, this year like took a little bit of a turn, which is just me being very honest and open. As I said, like sometimes I'm apprehensive about sharing these things because I just feel like I'm a failure and I put myself down. Like whatever I put into this business, as it were, is a result of me and my productivity and my work. But as I said, I am working on it, I'm working through it. I'm always working to make myself as stable as possible, mentally, physically, financially, and I guess that's like the conclusion of this video, like where I am right now. I've learned a lot as a result of these, you know, low points. I'm still working through some of them, which as I said, I can share in vlogs, like an adulting crisis. I don't know if we need a name for this series, something with Holly in it. I always like to put my name in these things. But yeah, feel free to, as I said, share your thoughts down below. I feel like I've already overshared so much in this video. But yeah, I think that's kind of it for this video, this chat. It's currently 11:16 if you were interested. It's October. This weather is honestly crazy, but yeah, I'm gonna probably go out on my bike today, and yeah, I will leave you guys with whatever bloopers there were from this video, and yeah, as always, I'll speak to you very soon in another video. Bye guys. Wow, I feel so zoomed in. Push down a little bit to the side, to the side, there we go. Wow, my hair is growing so much, it's like getting to below my boob. I also can't believe I got away with not even putting gel at all in my hair in Asia this year. I want to say I'm a volatile stock market, but I sound like a financial geek and I'm not that person. I feel like I can't see. I always say my hair is frizzy, and like it is always a bit frizzy, but you know, that's just me. The frizzy haired brunette that you guys may choose to watch on the internet. Sometimes I like to do my hair like this, so I'm gonna change it a little bit in the video. There we go. No, I'm not really feeling that today. What's the other big one? It's gone out of my mind. No.